happy Monday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kay, and it's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by See-Through Group, a Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a few areas that we're going to be watching for hail today. The main area will be in Nebraska, but we also have a marginal chance in the Ohio Valley, so we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And then getting into tomorrow, we have another area of that we'll be watching for some marginally severe weather in Minnesota as well as Wisconsin. Minneapolis, will you be in this risk? So we'll talk about that as well. And then the heat is starting to build back up. How long will this heat dome last? We'll talk about that as well. So here are yesterday's storm reports. We did have some activity basically from parts of Illinois into Indiana, as well as some in North Carolina. So we're going to zoom on in there first. Just a few scattered reports, nothing too crazy here in North Carolina and southern Virginia. And then here are the reports from western Illinois into central Illinois and into central Indiana, as well as a few scattered reports here in Minnesota and in northwestern Wisconsin. And then some very scattered reports elsewhere. Basically, we have one here in Nebraska, Panhandle, Texas, and out here in Arizona and California. So here are our current conditions across the lower 48. We have a storm system that is making its way across the Great Lakes region, as well as a disturbance here in the southern part of the U.S., bringing some much needed rain. And then we also have a small disturbance here in Nebraska. So we're going to zoom on into the Great Lakes region first. We have some showers and a few storms going right now, nothing severe at this time. But as we go through this afternoon and evening with the heat and the humidity and instability, there is that chance to see some marginally severe weather in terms of hail and wind with that cold front as it moves on to the east. And then I just wanted to show that it is raining here in Oklahoma and Texas. This is, again, very much needed rain. Nothing severe is expected there today. It's just, light rain there. And then here is Nebraska. Just a few showers around right now in the northern parts of the state, but we will be watching you guys this afternoon into the evening hours for the potential for large hail. So let's zoom back out. Here are current temperatures across the country. It is 81 in Atlanta, toasty 90 down in Miami, lower 90s here in Houston and Dallas, and a bit cooler here in Minneapolis where it's 79. So yeah, you can see that heat is starting to build back into the central part of the U.S. and it's a bit cooler here in the northeast with only a 71 degree temperature in New York City. With those dew points, you can basically see where that front is right now, the cold front. We have a 67 degree dew point in Chicago, 55 in Minneapolis. Behind this system, you go ahead of that cold front, though, we have a 74 degree dew point in St. Louis. So it's very sticky, very uncomfortable here in the Ohio Valley, down to the Gulf, 77 degree dew point in New Orleans. A bit better as we head a bit further west with a 65 degree dew point in Wichita, and of course very comfortable here in the Rockies. So here is our future radar. Some storms are expected to develop as we go through this afternoon, and then getting into this evening, you can see more pop-up variety storms here along and ahead of that cold front are expected from Detroit down to Cincinnati, maybe as far west as Indianapolis, eastward to Charleston, West Virginia. And then getting into the later evening hours is at 8 p.m. Central Time, so 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see a broken line of storms is expected to move on through parts of southern Ohio and West Virginia, and that will slowly track to the south as we get into the overnight hours. and some heavier thunderstorm activity is possible here in Kentucky. I know you guys do not need any more rain, as you guys have been getting a lot of it, and that will slowly track to the south as we get into the daybreak hours tomorrow morning. And elsewhere we have the potential to see some heavier thunderstorms. Nothing severe is expected with this, but we can get some louder storms here in central Illinois. So then we're going to be moving out west to Nebraska. Right now, for the most part, we are dry there, but as we get later on into the afternoon, we can possibly see some storms forming here around 5 p.m. Central Time. And you can see they're pretty isolated to start, but as we go forward a few hours, you can see that they quickly become a line of storms. So I think the window for hail is only going to be 2 or 3 hours, and then I think it'll be more of a wind threat. And then once we get to around 10 p.m. Omaha, you can see those storms to your northwest starting to weaken. So your chances today are going to be pretty low unless this model run is completely wrong. Then we go into the overnight hours and we can see some pop-up storms here in Iowa, and then that activity will move off into Illinois as we get into tomorrow morning and starting our day. So keep that in mind there if you're in central Illinois. Give yourself some extra time if you're getting to work. So here is today's hail forecast. Again, we have 2 areas that we're going to be watching. The first one is right here in the Ohio Valley down into Kentucky. Anywhere from quarter to maybe $half size hail is possible with those pop-up storms along and ahead of that cold front. So Columbus down to Cincinnati to Louisville, you guys are in the risk for that, and maybe as far north as Indianapolis. We have to keep an eye on you guys. And then we have another risk here in Nebraska. I think Norfolk, you guys have the best chance today to see that large hail. And again, it's going to be a pretty small window, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours that we're going to be, watching before those storms become more linear. And then as those storms move to the southeast, like we saw in that previous model run, those storms look to be dissipating quite a bit. But Omaha, you still have a low end chance to see quarter to $half size hail if those storms are able to make it in there before they die out. And here is today's wind forecast, basically from Detroit down to Columbus, eastward to Pittsburgh, Louisville, Nashville, westward to St. Louis. You guys have a chance to see anywhere from 60 to maybe 65 mile per hour wind gusts within this region. I think central Ohio is the best chance to see those severe winds. And then again here in Nebraska, Norfolk, you have the best chance today to see those 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts. In Omaha, you have a low end chance as well. So let's get into tomorrow. We do have a chance to see some very isolated storm development in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. will be mostly dry, and then getting into tomorrow afternoon, for the most part, still dry as well. We could see some pop-up storms near the border, and getting into later on in the evening, you can see some very isolated storms will be popping up. So not a lot of storm coverage, but as we get later on into the evening and overnight here, basically just a few storms here. It's going to be very isolated in nature, so the chance of severe weather is going to be pretty low. So this is at 7 a.m. Wednesday morning, Minneapolis. You'll be possibly waking up to some showers. Now, let's break it down in terms of tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, it's going to be a very low end chance, as there are only going to be a few storms possible, basically from Minnesota to Wisconsin, southward to parts of northern Illinois, and very far northwestern, or Iowa to northwestern Illinois. So let's zoom on in here. Again, a low end chance to see a $1 to $1.5 size hail from La Crosse to Minneapolis, northward to Duluth, if we can get those storms to form. And then for the wind, same deal. I'm keeping those chances very low. Up to 60 mile per hour gusts are possible in these same areas from La Crosse to Minneapolis, northward to Duluth. So just keep in mind, it's just going to be a few storms, very isolated. As of right now, the risk looks pretty low. So I mentioned at the beginning that heat is starting to build back in. We already have some more heat advisories out here from Minnesota southward to Nebraska, Kansas, eastward to parts of Missouri and southwestern Illinois, and then that dangerous heat is continuing out here in the northwest. So like I've been saying, make sure you drink plenty of water, stay inside if you can. We don't want any of you guys, falling over. That would be really bad. So let's get into our future jet stream to see what is going on in terms of storm systems and that heat dome. You can see that heat is already starting to build here in the southwest. Here is this trough that is going to be giving us that chance for severe weather today. As we get into tomorrow morning, this trough will start to move off to the northeast. Here is another little wiggle here that will give us that chance for severe weather in Minneapolis and Wisconsin tomorrow. And then you can see this next little trough here that will be moving on in on Wednesday, and basically the same story as we get into Thursday and Friday. And you can see that heat continues to build up here in the middle of the country as well as into parts of the west. And yeah, look at that. It's just going to slowly move off to the east here, and we're going to be once again roasting here for much of us here in the central and southern plains. And then here comes another trough that will be potentially bringing us some severe weather over the weekend in the northern plains. So we'll keep an eye on that. So here is our look ahead forecast for Wednesday. That same system that will be potentially bringing us that isolated hail and wind tomorrow in Minnesota and Wisconsin will move off to the southeast, and we'll have another low end chance to see severe weather from Michigan and down into the northern half of Illinois. So this does include Chicago, southwestward to Missouri, Kansas City. You are in this right now, but again, this is a pretty low end chance at this time for Wednesday. But stay tuned. You know how it is in the world of weather. Things can change relatively quickly. But that's all that I have for you right now. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page, where we've been trying to create some fun content for you guys. And then if you have any questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. I am meteorologist Heather Kay, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday.